Hey viewers, my name's Kara. I'm your Tuesday host on the Pagan Perspective, and we're coming up to the collab's anniversary, so in celebration we are doing a week of the hosts and of the subs, all covering the same topic, and we are talking a little bit about how we came into our paths. So this question comes from Wyld Silverwolf, who watched my video on my personal channel called Finding Wicca, where I talked about how I first discovered when I was very young that there was something out there that matched what I believed, and that's when I started studying it. So I'm looking at my phone because I took a picture of the topics. Because, side note, I got a new Office program from someone and I can't activate it because it says they've already activated it enough times, and it shut down my Office, so I can't update or edit or work on any of my documents right now, so I had to take a picture instead of putting it on my computer. Anyway, so these questions are based on the kind of thing that I did in that video, so I'm going to try and not really repeat anything that I've already said because I've talked about this kind of thing a lot, but hopefully you'll be hearing some new stuff from the rest of the people on the collab, maybe who haven't done videos on it before, and I will try to give you some new material, and I will link to videos that I've done in the past that talk about this, such as my Finding Wicca video. So the questions this week are, first, to tell your journey to, put your path name here, so the story of how we got there. 2, why is your particular path the one you follow? 3, how did you come to know that this path is right for you? 4, why is your particular deity that you follow the one for you? 5, how did you come to know that he or she or they were right for you? 6, was it a long journey to this decision based on the above? And 7, did you do the year and a day thing? If no, longer, shorter, why? So a lot of these questions to me are kind of just like Apple Jacks. You just do. You know, how did you come to this? I just did. Or how did you know this was right for you? I just knew. So I'm going to skip number 1, which is telling the story of how I got there, because I've done that a lot. So I will link you to my Finding Wicca video where I first talked about it, and then recently on my personal channel I did a video about how I came out of the broom closet where I kind of recapped that story again. 2, why is your particular path the one that you follow? I've also sort of talked about this a lot. My path label, what I tend to call myself, is a solitary, eclectic, Wiccan witch. And I chose each of those things because they say something about how my path is. Solitary in that I started being solitary, I learned on my own, I still do most of my learning and working on my own, although now, in recent years, I have started doing some things with a group. I still consider myself mostly solitary because I do still do things on my own, and the bulk of my practice is still on my own, even though I do love the community aspect. I don't think I will ever be the type of person who only works in a group. I will always have that solitary aspect. And I'm not a member of an official working group or anything. It's very casual and informal, the groups that I'm in right now. Eclectic because I pull from everywhere. Wiccan because my basic beliefs match that of Wicca, and the things that I follow and the Wiccan read and the way that I celebrate the holidays that I celebrate, things like that. Basically the way that I practice everything else that I have, it has a Wiccan background behind it all. And then witch because I practice witchcraft. I do magic other than that of ritual and things like that. So why is it the particular path that I follow? It's Apple Jacks, again, because it's the one for me. It's the one that makes sense. It's the one that is what I believe. And really, if you get right down to it, why do I practice the path that I follow? It's because it's the path that I follow, because it is very eclectic. It can't really match up to anyone else's because it's mine. So it is what I follow because it's what I've learned, it's what I've put together, it's what I like, it's what I do. 3, how did you come to know that this path is right for you? Back when I was around 12 years old, again, this is kind of recapping the other things, but basically how I knew it was right for me was just that I had always had these beliefs all through my childhood. I always knew that something was off about how I was being taught and how other people wanted me to believe, and I always had these ideas of, well, I think the world works like this makes more sense to me, why isn't this what we believe? And so then when I found out that there are other people who believe those things and they're pagans or they're Wiccans, I just knew right away because it's what I had always thought made sense and what was most logical about the world. It was just what I believed, and so I knew it was for me because it always made sense. Why is the particular deity that you follow the one for you, and how did you come to know that they were right for you? I don't work with any particular deities yet. I think you guys know that about me. There are a few that I've begun working with, again, within the past year or so. And the way that I came to know that they were right for me is just, well, I'm still in the getting to know them phase, honestly, because throughout my whole practice, you know, that entire decade or so that I've been practicing, I just worked with God and Goddess. And I knew that that was right for me because, again, it made sense. It made sense with my worldviews that there should be one of each and that they should be working together and forming a balance, whether you view that as literal or symbolic. So that was very clear to me. And then the specific deities that I'm starting to work with, I came to know that they would probably be good ones for me to try and work with because of certain connections and symbolism and messages that I get kind of from the universe, where I might be reading about a deity and all of a sudden something will stick out to me that maybe the number that they're associated with is my favorite number, or something else about them is something that's gone on in my life. And so just little connections like that will be made, and I'll think, you know, maybe I was supposed to read this at this time. Maybe that means I should try to work with this deity more. I've always had kind of an interest in them, but I've never tried it, but this kind of makes it sound like I really should go for it. And then others I might hear about and I really like something about them, so I just go for it. And then how I know that they ended up being right for me is just when I start working with them and doing different things, I get sort of positive things out of it. I feel like it's working. I feel like there's a connection being made. I feel like I'm getting a positive feedback from that deity form. You know, there are some times where it's really just like talking to any other person. When you put something out there and you feel like you're not getting anything back, there's not a bond being formed there. But when I do, I feel like something is coming back to me, or something happens that very obviously tells me, yes, this is your response, then I know that there is a bond being formed. And I do want to do a video or at least a blog or something about that, because people do ask me, you know, how do I work with these deities? How do you do it? And I've only just recently started doing it. But I feel like I've come up with some simple things that work really well for me, so perhaps that could be of use. 6, was it a long journey to this decision based on the above? It's all a long journey. Every bit of it is the journey. I'm still on the journey. I don't feel like it's over at all. But as far as the deciding to start actively following this path, it wasn't that long of a decision for me because, again, it started back when I was around 11 or 12, something like that. And there was definitely a transition period where I was still kind of believing the things that I had been taught as a kid, but embracing these things that were the things that I had always believed, and sort of combining them. And there was a transition period from where it was being blended to where I was fully in my own. And that did take a couple of years, and it took a couple of years until I, you know, identified as this and told people that I was this and told my mother and was out and proud about it, which again, the coming out of the broom closet video recaps all of that. But it wasn't a long decision as far as when I first heard of it. It didn't take me long to know that it's what I believed and what I wanted to do. It's just the transitioning of kind of getting used to being able to follow something different than how I had been raised. That transition was longer, but the decision did not take long. And then the last question is, did you do the year and a day? If not, was it longer, short, or whatever? I did set out to do a year and a day of study, but someone actually asked me about this recently as well in a personal message on my channel. They asked me about the year and a day and what classes or books I used, and I didn't use any of the, you know, year and a day books that are set up to be done over a year and a day's time. I didn't take any classes because I didn't know of any places around here at that time, but I did set out to do a year and a day of study, and I just studied on my own. And during that time I read as much as I could, I practiced as much as I could, and that was my own personal study. And I did end up doing it for longer than a year and a day. I don't think it should be shorter. I do like that as being the minimum. Like, you should at least give yourself that long to find out if you really like it and if this is really going to be for you. But I did end up doing mine for longer just because I felt like there was more that I needed to know before I could feel comfortable saying, yes, this is me. So I did it for longer. I don't know really how long it was, but like I said, if I started studying, practicing when I was around 12, and then I finally told my mother, you know, hey, I consider myself a Wiccan, I consider myself a witch when I was around 16. So you can think I spent about 3 or 4 years just kind of in the studying phase and knowing it was for me and being serious about it, but not yet feeling like I had gotten to a point where I could say it to the world and feel like a good enough representative, you know what I mean? Like, even though I knew it in my head, I felt this kind of responsibility to portray it well to the rest of the world. And now I feel like I can do that. So if this is a question about any of the viewers kind of wondering or thinking, maybe this is right for me, but how do I really know? I think that you really will just know. Because it's just one of those things that it's personal, it's about you, so if you don't feel that it's right for you, it may not be. or you may just have to tweak something about it to make it for you. I don't know, every person is different, but I can tell you that I just knew. It just felt right, it made sense to me, it was what I had always believed. I didn't have to do much changing my mind or being convinced of other things in order to make it work, because it was just what I already believed. There are definitely things that I've learned over the years that are just new concepts that, oh my gosh, I've never even stopped to think about that before. But once it comes up and I think about it, I love adding that into my system of beliefs. And, because sometimes people will ask me, well, what do you think about this? And I'm like, I've never thought about that before. That's not a subject that's ever come up. And then I get to develop my own opinions and beliefs about it as I learn about it, which is a great thing. So it's all a journey, it's an ongoing journey, it will be a journey forever and ever and ever. Especially if you believe in reincarnation and the fact that it will all be a continuous journey until we get to the end, and then who knows what happens. Which reminds me of another video I wanted to do. Someone wanted me to do a video about reincarnation. Anyway, I do hope that these 2 weeks will be interesting for you. The collab's anniversary is actually also my birthday, August 16th. It'll be Friday this week, and that will be our 4th anniversary, or the collab's 4th birthday, so it will be starting into our 5th year of this collab channel. Thank you all so much for being here throughout it. If you just joined us, welcome to the party. There's a link in the description of the videos to our collab blog where you can search through the past years and see all of the different topics that we've already covered. So if you're curious about anything, we may have already covered it. Go and check that out. And after these 2 weeks of everybody talking about these topics, we will have the subs cover a couple of weeks while the regular members get a break for the anniversary, just to give us some downtime, because I know my life has been extremely hectic lately, and I'm actually extremely busy today, but I wanted to take this time to do this, and hopefully I'll be able to edit it and get it uploaded at a decent time today as well. But I'm really busy, so I'm sure the rest of the team is very busy, and I'm sure our viewers are very busy, so I appreciate when you guys do get the time to catch up on videos that you may have missed, and I just hope you enjoy it. This has been such a great experience, and I am so proud of everyone. So I'll see you next time I see you, which will be after the break in our 5th year of the collabdom. Collabdom, that's a word now. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you then. Don't forget to be awesome, blessed be, and goodbye.